Welcome to the show, folks. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. I feel like it's all things politics right now. I'm actually reading an article that talks about what is that, quote, silent majority and how big is it?
Right.
And they're trying to compare numbers from 2016 and the midterms in 2018 and what that would look like. But it's interesting because there's two sides of this thing. There's the folks that are, the folks that are for Trump, and then there's the other side, which is the Democrats actually have been pushing a lot harder in the Southwest. So there's kind of two sides of this coin, but we'll see. For all of my crash bros out there, existing home sales up 9.4% in September.
Wow.
71% of homes sold in September were on the market for less than a month. So let me explain what that means.
That's amazing.
71% of homes were on the market less than a month. What that means is, in order for us to see price reductions, not a crash, just reduction in prices, we need about 10 months worth of inventory. And you could figure out what that average needs to look like. But 71% of homes are sold in less than a month. The reality is we're not even close to a crash. We're looking at about 6.5 million homes that are going to be sold across the United States. Home sales are up 21% year over year. Pretty wild when you think about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. If nothing else came to market, was 2.7 months. We have 2.7 months of inventory nationally.
So again, the folks that we work with, some of them are empty nesters or soon to be empty nesters. It's time to do a little spit shine on the house, a little paint maybe, clean the carpets, and look for a spring listing.
Yeah.
Right? It's time to grab some equity out of your property and either get yourself a nice gated condo somewhere along River Oaks, right? They're $250,000, $260,000. You can sell your $400,000 spring house, right? Make that move. So these are the opportunities, and I just got to tell you, look, we always say it's so hard just figuring out who's going to mow the lawn, who's picking up the dry cleaning, who's making the meal, how do I get laundry done, how do I get the kids bathed and put to bed, right? Like all the daily stuff that happens that really just hurts people moving forward. So it is something that we absolutely need to step back and look at the bigger picture, and this is it. We've been telling you that the prices are skyrocketing, right? We're in hyper acceleration for appreciation, so you've got to start making some decisions now. I exited New Jersey. I've got a closing in a week, so we're looking good over there. Getting all the repairs done, did a little bit of a trash out we had to do, and I got two more right behind it. And just taking my money and getting ready to reinvest and redeploy back here in Texas. But there are folks inside our mastermind that are looking at their portfolio. They're looking at their personal housing, and this low interest rates, high pricing, houses on the market for less than a month. It's a time to make some adjustments.
Here's another bit of wild news. Freddie Mac's single-family delinquency rate decreased from 3.17% to 3.04%.
Sure. They all have equity. They're not going. No one's going to be stupid and lose it, right?
No one's going to lose their homes.
Yeah, they all have equity.
It's ridiculous. This idea there's this big crash coming and all that. It's like there's no data out there that says there's this big crash.
Can you look under HAR and go back to 2000? Let's see. The average people holding their house for 7 years, right? So go back to 2014.
Okay.
September. And just see what the median home price was.
All right, median home price in September of 2014.
Sure. Yep.
The median home price was $196,000.
So we've gone up $70,000. Let's do that on a percentage basis. 35%.
Yeah.
Got up 35%.
Yeah. So what's 30? That was 7 years?
Yeah.
What's 35
Six.
divided by 7? So 6.
6, yeah.
So appreciation's been 6% a year.
Yeah.
Which is double. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you guys, it's about to go faster.
Yes.
Don't be surprised at 12, 13%. I mean, just don't be surprised.
So come spring, you should be sitting on about 40%, 40, even maybe even 40. Maybe even some people double their equity.
Yeah.
Because of the down payment they had to put in, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to be in a really good position to take, based on the median price, and let's just call it $300,000. You'll be able to take $150,000 and deploy somewhere else. And again, if you're heading onto an empty nester, you'll be able to step down and buy a house with 70%. You'll be able to put 70% down, or put at least $50,000 down and take that $100,000 and invest, right?
Yeah, this is what's crazy is, what's our average out of pocket around here? 20, 25,
well,
30?
It's gotten higher now because they're making you do some prepayments. So let's call it 40.
Well, I don't include the prepayments as out of pocket because you're going to pay that anyway,
just
right?
call it 30 then.
Let's call it $30,000.
Yep.
So if you got 150 grand equity, you pick up 5 houses, and those 5 houses are appreciating 15% a year, and those houses are what? Let's say they're $150,000 houses. So 150 times 0.15 times 5, you'll make $113,000 that first year just in appreciation. It's like, God, this is not – I love how folks like to think we're some kind of geniuses over here with the real estate stuff. I'm like, it's not that – the actual real estate's not that hard. Like, just buy it in areas that are appreciating. Well, Jason, what areas are appreciating? Well, there's a state called Texas, and everything inside there is appreciating rapidly. Like, it's no more difficult than that. Make sure it cash flows and buy as much as you can get your damn hands on right now.
So let's say you took that 150 and you took 50 and you bought yourself a
new crib,
really nice $240,000. Well, even that'd be you hard pressed to find. You're talking about A++ condo, right?
Yeah.
So let's just call it 200,000. So you have a $150,000 note, and you're going to divide it by 625. Divided by 12. You're at like an $800 a month PI before HOA fees. So you could be in for a property at $1,100 a month, and then you take the other $100,000 and you invest in 3 rental properties, and if they can produce.
Yeah, 3 rental properties. Those 3 rental properties will make you $65,000 a year just in appreciation.
Not just that, if you get the cash coming off them,
you
could supplement your mortgage payment and be living on like $300 a month.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm trying to deliver here, and not make you guys understand. There are a few of you that are going to be in a really good position to change your portfolio. You're going to be able to sell the big house up by me, right, off of 249, $300,000 you're going to get. You've made $150 on it. You can just downgrade. You'll step down to a nice condo with no more mowing the lawn, no more taking care of all that stuff, A+, and you put $50,000 down. Your mortgage is going to be $1,200, and you've got enough room for $300. If they make $300 each a month, you're living on $300, right? That's your out-of-pocket instead of the mortgage you're paying now. Hey, so we're going to but again, there'll be some guru that comes through town and will charge you $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to learn his secret strategy that we just sort of laid out there in 4 minutes. But anyway, if you want to know more about that stuff, you want to figure that out, give us a shout at 281-401-9008. Text to that number, 281-401-9008. We'll be back. Hey, welcome back. And Robert and Jason here at Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Guys, you want to check out our website. It's mrtxre.com. MR is in Mr. TX is in Texas. RE is in realestate.com. And please go to our YouTube channel where you're going to see, we should be getting some upgrades there, but go check us out, the Texas Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube. You can watch all our back shows there. We're also on all the podcasts, so we're out there. Anyway, before the guru comes to town and puts it all in like some flashy PowerPoint and a nice big binder and charges you $10,000, we're laying out a strategy to eliminate the cost of living, your housing cost. because we're at a point in the market where you can take advantage of extremely low interest rates, lower than what you originally got 7 years ago, for sure, and then taking equity out, putting some equity to work for you, whatever it is, right? We're real estate, but maybe you have a fund that will produce. Maybe you're taking $100,000 and you're putting it in our fund, right?
Yeah.
And paying 9% on that, and that's $9,000 a year going against your $14,000 all-in cost of living at a Class A plus here in Houston, and you're living for $400 a month, right? That's when we start making your wealth work for you, right? That's where it really starts getting interesting. And you don't need to have $1 million. If you have 150 plus equity in your house and you're an empty nester, then the only reason you're there is an emotional decision.
So here's one thing I think I'm proud of for something that we've not done, which is kind of unusual. We don't get on this radio program and tell people to liquidate their 401k.
Oh, God,
because it's not, you don't have to.
No.
Like people who tell you to liquidate your 401k, it's like, why would you do that? You don't need $1 million to buy a bunch of real estate.
No.
You need $100,000.
Yeah, $250,000 to do you right.
Oh, $250,000.
It'd be done in about 18 months.
Yeah, but now take a little bit out if you want to. Okay,
Yep.
I could see that. But taking it all out, we wouldn't advise to necessarily do that.
Nope.
But if you find a really good deal and you're like, man, it's got 20% equity and I need another $30,000 to do the deal, it might make sense. But one of the things I find interesting about all of our advice is we kind of make it all work, if you will, inside a framework that's practical for most real estate investors who've got a job and kids and the family and all that other stuff. So I'm just going through the news here this morning. Holy smokes, this is the name of the article. Holy smokes, new home sales are up 32% year over year. New home sales are up 32% year over year. What do you think that's going to do to the price of homes? I mean, it's just,
right.
It's ridiculous. The one economic sector that has blown away my estimates this year has been the new home sales market. I predicted peak year-to-date growth of 5%, but this was before COVID-19. The sector is very sensitive to yields in both positive and negative direction. When mortgage rates went from 4.75 to 5 in 2018, demand fell and inventory for new homes went up. Now we're down to 3%. Today's new home sales are up 32% year over year and are up 17% year to date. That is screaming prices are coming up. In fact, here it is right here. Median sales price of new homes sold in September was $327. The average sales price was $405. What's that mean? What's the difference between the median and the average? If the average is higher than the median, I can almost guarantee you that that median number will eventually go up. Seasonally adjusted estimate of new homes for sale at the end of September was 284,000. This represents a supply of 3.6 months at the current sales rate. We have to get to 10 months of inventory before there's price reductions. You literally would need a collapse that would increase the months of supply by a factor of 3 and existing home sales by a factor of 5. That's never happened. It's never going to happen. It's just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So just amazing just how hot this market is. In fact, here's what's interesting. In my opinion, the monthly supply chart for the new home sales is the most important chart to follow in housing. As a rule of thumb, you don't want monthly supply to go above 6.5 months. When this happens, housing construction stalls. This is what happened in 2018 and this year in the month of April at 6.8 months. Today, however, inventory looks excellent, standing at 3.6 months. Crazy. So it collapsed by almost half in 90 days. Just absolute bananas. Anytime inventory dips below 4.3 months is great in my book because that is where supply should be for the new home sales sector post-96. I like to use post-96 housing data for comparison because this was the period when mortgage rates went much lower and changed the landscape for the monthly supply data, and I've argued with guys the last couple of days since I started posting some stuff and sending out some emails in the last what's today, Tuesday, so in the last 24 hours, and they want to argue about, well, rates are going to have to come up. I'm like, come up to what? Like, you tell me when you really get down to it, where do you think that 10-year note is going?
Yeah.
Where is that? It's not going anywhere. I mean, I pull up. Somebody explained to me when worldwide debt, 60% of worldwide debt is trading at 2% or less, meaning a 2% rate or less. How can you jack up the rates? It doesn't make sense. Like, oh, but rates got to go up. I'm like, okay. So that's kind of like saying, hey, Rob, the price of cars – the price of cars will not always go up. Really? Because on a long enough trend line, that is absolutely what's happening. Like, for those of you guys out there that have a truck, let's say you haven't bought a truck in the last 5 years, go see what a four-wheel drive truck runs these days.
Yeah.
That'll be a wake-up call.
Starting at 60.
Yeah, starting at 60 for leather and four-wheel drive. Nothing sexy in it, right?
You're going to be 90,000.
Yeah, that's not.
That's why the Cybertruck is going to be amazing for folks, because you're going to get the equivalent to an F-250.
Yeah, that's true.
For $80,000.
That's true. Although I keep driving my Tundra around, I'm like, I don't know if I can give this Tundra up. This is 2021 is the last year of the V8 for them. I'm like, do I just get that last V8 Toyota Tundra? I get the last one they made there in beautiful San Antonio, Texas. They're going to some kind of turbocharged V6 thing, and I'm like, I don't want any of that.
Well, we'll talk more about Tesla on the way back, but just wrapping up this thought here. Look, the crash. I don't know. Again, we're talking about single-family homes in Southeast Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're really talking. Now, you're living in Los Angeles. You might be seeing some price decreases. Certainly, Seattle, Chicago, New York, Miami. The big blue cities, right? You're all seeing some major reductions in price. So yeah, there might be some stuff going on here. But if you're talking Texas and a crash, we think you're wrong.
You're real wrong,
right? We just think you're wrong, and we're betting, $35 million against it.
Yeah, that's a good point. How much money do you have up against this bet? We got 35 mil.
Right. What are you betting?
We got 35 mil we're betting on appreciating.
Right.
Rob and I are trying to get to 60 million here, so it's like 60 million net. So I'm like, we need $180 million in real estate.
Yep.
So we're making a $180 million bet through phase one, and then Brian and I, well, of course you'll be semi-retired at this point, we're making $1 billion bet. Yeah, I know you're totally ready.
So ready.
What is it I asked you the other day, and you were like, nah, that's for you and Brian to do. I'm out on that. I can't remember what it was. You were like, I'm not doing any of that. When we get back from break, we will tease Rob about his early retirement goals. Because anytime we come up with something that lasts more than 5 years, he's like, nah, I'm out.
Nope, not even.
I'm out.
We'll be back.
Welcome back. Jason Barber, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. And we're talking about cold smoking cheese.
Yes.
So we're going to smoke some cheese when it gets cold. If you guys have ever seen this, it's got to get into the 50s, 40s in Texas, and then you put a really small fire.
It's like 2 days.
And yeah, you got to catch it. That's what I'm saying. We got to have everything like prepped here, and then watch the weather. It's like that December, January time frame, and then immediately get that cheese, cold smoked cheese going. And you got to let it age too, otherwise it's my understanding.
So you basically are going to put a high smoke, low heat.
The fire you make is a box about the size of both of our phones put together, and you light one end, and it kind of runs this little snake through the box.
Oh, cool.
And it's real, like super low. Like there's no heat. It's just, it may melt a little bit, but yeah, it's just smoke. It's really good. So we're talking about cold smoking cheese. And this weekend, I did caveman-style steaks.
I saw the pictures. Look good.
It is ridiculous. So let me explain what that is for the folks at home. You need organic lump charcoal. Not the briquettes, because briquettes have got chemicals and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
You take this lump charcoal.
They're made in Freeport, right? Just
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Made down in Freeport. So you take the lump charcoal, you get it white hot, and you kind of spread it out, and then you take a room temperature steak. This is one thing I've been doing steaks forever, but one thing I am learning, to have a really good steak, it needs to be at room temperature.
Got it.
Cannot be the least bit cold. It's got to be at room temperature. And then you lay that steak directly on the coals. So a lot of people ask, like, well, is there a lot of ash? And I'm like, there's a little bit, but not a lot. So what happens is, as soon as that steak hits that coal,
Well,
it
you
cools
prep the coal by
surface.
blowing on it first.
Yeah, you blow
right?
on it first, but there's
Get rid
still a
of-
little bit.
Yeah, but it's more heat than ash, right?
Right. So you put that steak right on there, and it immediately cools the exterior of the coals because the heat's actually on the inside, and then it just sears it, and it is phenomenal. I did 3.5 minutes aside. You can only do
Better
this-
than a grill?
It's so much better than a grill. Dude.
Really?
It's so good. It's even better than doing them on the Big Green Egg, and that I can get up to 900 degrees. But the coals are almost 1,200 at the surface. They're like 1,100 something
got it.
degrees.
Interesting.
So you put it on there, and what's cool is I was doing those New York strips, so they got that fatty side on them, and literally it's like you put them in there, and the coals hit that fat, and it starts catching on fire, right? But that's how you do it. 3.5, 4 minutes aside, it's amazing.
So you know what? Some fun thing happened this weekend is in our household we recognized not to call it barbecue anymore.
Oh yeah.
We're grilling.
Oh, well, it's a certain temperature, right? Yeah.
Because it ain't barbecue what we make.
No, that's
No, I got some chicken. I'm gonna put it on the grill.
yeah. They're small. Here's what's interesting. It's smoking, barbecue, and grill,
Right.
and all three of those things are different based off the temperature.
Got it.
So under
We like it. I like it seared hot, make it nice and
yeah, that's
crispy.
grilling.
Yeah,
that's
grilling. Yep.
So below 225, 250 degrees is smoking. Above that is barbecue, and barbecue stops at 500, I think. And then above 500 degrees is grilling.
Nice.
So it's kind of those three. And I may have the temperatures off a little bit, but that's kind of the three.
And we have
things.
such great potential with this building. We could host a cook-off in our parking lot.
Oh, every month. we could do a barbecue cook-off every month in the parking lot.
When the world gets back to normal, we're in really good shape.
Well, Rob Trigg wants to start hosting a car meet here, and I'm like, I'm game for
Yeah,
that.
could do that too.
We could totally
We
do
got
a car
drive
meet.
in, drive out.
Yep.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
get out there in Hollister. Everybody starts doing donuts.
Well,
It'd be
we can have
great.
fun. I'll just
Bring
have my
your-
Cybertruck here.
Yeah, bring your Lambo out. Bring
Oh,
your
big
Lambos.
Tesla news.
Oh, what's the Tesla news?
Couple things. So
Okay.
after they do the quarterly reporting, they do what's known as a 10Q.
Yes. Yeah, that's a quarterly update.
They did a 10Q update, and they said we will be spending $12 billion on new factories over the next 2.5 years.
Jeez, it's crazy.
So the big one is it looks like they're going to India,
That makes sense.
and
You're going to fight with Tata Motors over there.
but they're going to really bring it in under energy.
You know why
So
they're
the price
doing
of
India?
energy is expensive in India. I didn't
Yeah.
realize.
Oh, it's very expensive. You know
third
why
world
they're going to
country,
do that?
kind
When
of.
I was in India for a week and a half, it was for one of my business school things, and was chatting with a lot of the investors there. India will match. At the time, it was either 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 dollar in infrastructure, and in particular, energy.
Yep.
And if you've ever been through the streets of India to see their electrical grid, it is scary.
Oh, it looks like the 1920s here, right?
Yeah, there's electric wires everywhere. There's these huge
Yeah,
buses
like-
and junction
like
boxes
Edison,
open.
yeah.
Like you're just waiting for a kid to touch those bars and just get fried on the street. The monkeys are all over the electrical lines. I mean, it's a total mess. But India will match those dollars, essentially dollar for dollar, if not 2-to-1. The government will match your private. It's called foreign direct investments, FDI. So they'll match those FDI dollars. So if you're a Tesla and you want to get into a huge market, because obviously India is a gigantic market. India, the largest English-speaking country in the world. A lot of people don't know that, but a lot of English there in India. So in any case, it'd be a great market for them to get into.
So there's a big news. Something's happening in Australia.
What's going on in Australia?
For 1 hour in October, the entire state of South Australia drew its energy purely from solar.
Oh, interesting. On the Gold Coast,
So they
South Australia.
they met 100% of their needs based off of. So what has happened in Australia, because everyone vacations off the island, right? They're trying to get out. They're going wherever. They're going.
Or they go down to Adelaide. Adelaide is ridiculous.
Or they go to there's New Zealand is Australia. And they want to move. They travel, right?
Yeah.
Well, no one's traveling because of COVID, and there has been a huge surge in solar purchases for single-family homes.
Oh, interesting.
So they're spending their money. And one guy, I guess they run the numbers. It's like, hey, you didn't do your $5,000 vacation this year.
Yeah, so
So put solar on your roof. And in 2 years, every 2 years the electric price, because electric's so high, 50 cents a watt out there, you'll be able to pay for a new vacation.
That's perfect.
And again, just being smart with this stuff. So that was a very big thing in our world, and that is a lot because Tesla Energy is putting up those big battery plants, right? And it's all about arbitration. And what you don't understand is it's not just the cost that they make their money on. They stay as the manager forever.
Yeah.
So every time they're transacting something, they're taking a very small percent. And
it's that passive income.
Right, but that's why they're putting a lot of money. And that's where in India, they'll be. Remember, England, Great Britain made Tesla register as an energy company.
Yeah.
And so again, we're dealing with cars now. But if you think that if they could just rebuild the local grids out there, and then regulate and take a piece of every kilowatt that goes through their battery pack, what is that worth?
Oh yeah,
that's a one. The girl from ARC said it's a $1 trillion. It'll be $1 trillion company.
Well, I noticed NASA filed some stuff for. They awarded some company here in Houston like $50 billion for the asteroid mining or the moon mining project, which our first trillionaire. It's kind of funny. Yeah. I think our first trillionaire comes from one of two places. They figure out the private mortgage market for single-family homes, or it's going to be mining asteroids in the moon, right?
I agree.
That'll create a trillionaire. Going over to voting, 67 million people already voted.
That's about half. Who voted? What was the number that voted in 2016?
Let me see. We will be. Oh, we got 37.
Yeah, we're good.
2016 total.
So 143
voter turnout. Election turnout. Let me see here. It gives it as a percentage.
When we come back from this break, we're going to be talking a little bit more. We'll wrap up with politics. Why not, right? This is Robert and Jason with Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the
138
Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We'll be back.
Welcome back. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We are here talking about real estate. We're having a little pool drama. I got a good pool guy. I don't know if he'll go down there. He's not cheap, though. I'll tell you that. But he is doing a pretty bang-up job.
I once got on stage, and this was even before I bought that property, and said, don't buy pools. Just don't buy a house with a pool unless you're going to live there.
Yeah.
Because on the flip, it's a nightmare. Right? Because deferred maintenance is usually underground.
Yes.
And cutting that thing and getting all that stuff open. So, yeah, that has been a bane of mine. And then I had that was a house I did with a JV partner, and he decided that he was going to rip up the skirt for no other reason than it didn't look nice.
Oh, the coping or the deck
coping
around it?
And then the skirt around it.
Why would you do that?
It wound up costing me another $11,000 for something
cheap.
that would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's $11,000. Our cost would cost anybody else 25 G's.
But
right?
I wasn't familiar with the marketplace, so the person I was with was convincing me that this needed to be happen. And I bought my house with the same exact coping and the same exact decking around there. I'm like, what is the problem
Nobody
here?
cares. Until you get
Just
into
stupid crap.
Until you get into the higher end stuff, and I'm talking like above $750,000.
Right.
It really doesn't matter what the pool, as long as the pool looks good, it's clean and it runs. You don't need to do a pool
Pool's
rehab.
a nightmare.
I love them, and I think if you're a real estate investor and you got to pick between a rental property with a pool or without, I would go with the one with the pool because it's going to appreciate so much faster in this marketplace.
Oh, and it's we're in the marketplace. Yeah, right.
Yeah, here it's going to now
nationwide. It's not.
Now, now normally, I mean, post-COVID, everybody wants a pool.
You are correct, sir.
So
yes,
if we could do if you're planning on selling it in a couple of years.
I think I got about. If I can. We'll see what spring brings, but I think I'll have close to $60,000 equity in my house that I just bought three years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ditch it. I'll just move to I'm ready to.
You ready to go to the urban life?
I'm really start going. Not the urban life. I just want someone else to take care of everything.
Yeah.
I want there to be a phone number to call, right? Anyway, we're less than 7 days. We're exactly 7 days out. Polls will open up. 50% of the population has already voted. 50% of the electric from last time has already voted. By the time you hear this, it will be over 50%.
Which is wild. I don't We ought to look. I'm looking at toss-up states and all that stuff. They still have Texas as a toss-up. But,
So that's Real Clear Politics?
yeah, I'm looking at the RCP.
Real Clear. So anything below 5% margin, they put as a toss-up.
Oh, that makes sense.
Even a little bit higher. Like Minnesota's not a toss-up.
Yeah.
But they have Minnesota as a toss-up there.
Here's I don't know if this is the RCP average versus 4 years ago. It's a great little chart here, or table. And it's got it for 2016, 2012, and 2008. And it shows this is actually the Real Clear Politics number. That's what it turned out to be in 16, 12, and 2008. So let's look at Arizona, for example. They have Biden up 2.2. 4 years ago, they had Trump up 1.5. So this is telling me here, but Trump won it by 3.5. So Arizona is certainly in play. Florida polls now say 0.4. 4 years ago, 1.0.
Yep.
That's the polls. The actual vote count was 1.2. Man, this is a lot tighter than people are. Iowa, great example. 4 years ago, 3.6. The RCP average now is 0.4. They won by that by 5. Boy, they really got. I'm sorry. That's Iowa. They really got Iowa wrong, didn't they? Because Trump ended up winning at 9.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real interesting.
So, but again, none of those states you mentioned, Biden doesn't need them.
That's right.
Biden doesn't need Ohio. Biden does not need Florida. Biden does not need Iowa. Biden does not need Arizona. Biden does not need Nevada. He needs Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the game right there. So
Trump doesn't. If Trump only wins one of those, it's a huge uphill battle. I don't think he can do it. We'd have to look.
No, I don't think he's winning any of those. I really don't.
Pull the map up.
Because he didn't win them big last time.
That's true.
I mean, essentially, we have to shift about 50,000, 60,000 votes the other way. And I think he did that.
All right, so he takes, obviously, Texas, Florida. Trump takes Georgia. I think he's ultimately going to win Georgia.
Yep.
North Carolina.
He's got to win. That's another one. It's a must win. And I think Biden is leading in those polls.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. What do we think? Ohio. I think he wins Ohio.
Yeah, he's going to go Ohio. Absolutely.
I don't know about Pennsylvania.
He's not. But Pennsylvania is trending down. The gap is really getting tight. I do not think Trump wins Nevada.
Okay.
I think that is a union state.
Arizona.
You can give Arizona to Trump. That's fine.
So those are the real 4 states in play: Pennsylvania, yep. Minnesota, Wisconsin.
What's that number at right there?
252 to 238.
Right.
So it's literally these 4 states.
Yep.
Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and Pennsylvania. That's the whole game.
That's what we're watching.
It's the whole game. Illinois obviously goes blue. Indiana's red.
Yep.
Ohio's red. Michigan
Yep.
goes blue.
Yep.
Virginia blue.
The problem is that the president is spending time defending.
Yeah.
He's got to defend in Florida because Florida's very tight.
It's 29
Whatever
votes.
the polls are, it doesn't matter. The Democrats are outvoting the Republicans 70 to 20, right? 70 to 28.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big time problem for him. He's defending. He's going to Georgia. The president has to defend Georgia. He's got to show up there because it could slip. So
yeah,
Biden's making as many appearances as Trump is in his last 7 days. And Kamala is going to Texas, Arizona, and Nevada.
I'm posting up on my Facebook page right now this table where it's got the RCP numbers at this time last year, at this time in 16, plus the actual vote counts and all that. I'm like, the polls can be wrong, but, man, they got to be real wrong this time.
Yep.
They got to be really wrong. Yeah, so is it possible? Let's take a look here. 48, that puts 270. Yeah, Trump has to win at least one of these. So if he takes Pennsylvania, he wins. Yeah, he's got to win either Pennsylvania or 2 of these 3, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. That's the game.
Yes.
That's the game. If he loses Florida, it's gone. I don't even, because then he's got to win all these, and I don't think he can win all of them. So, gonna be interesting, folks. Week from today, gonna be interesting. See how this whole thing rolls out, and then if Texas does go blue, it's over. it's almost 40 electoral college votes.
I mean,
that thing's over before it even gets started.
One of the things is, and I think Obama's going to be back on the campaign trail this week as well.
If he loses Texas and Florida, you might as well just shut it down. It's 9:30 in the evening, losing Texas and Florida, game's over. Yeah. It's like Biden losing California.
I don't think Trump loses Texas. I think Texas is here. I think it's a lot closer than people think. I think it's going to be within 4 points.
Yeah.
Which, be the closest. We'll be putting some money here. But it'll be telling. Again, this show's going out here on Wednesday night, so you'll be 5 days out tomorrow. Yeah. All right, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Robert and Jason, Mr. Texas Real Estate. Yeah, we got Pennsylvania is tightening. Definitely getting tighter. Or we're just using the average of some bad polls.